Hey everyone, Forrest here from Plebeian, and today we're releasing part one of our interview with Lindsay Keating of Cabinet of Curious Clay. We got to go out to her brand new studio in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, and sit down and chat with her. It was a whole lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it.
Good way to start.
Yeah, exactly. So to get started, just tell us way back from the beginning what got you into art and
Oh, okay.
like the beginnings in ceramics, everything.
Sure. So, I didn't even know I was artistic until I was like 17. I went to a Catholic school and there was one art class. And I took that class as a senior and I was like, oh, I can actually draw.
Yeah.
And I had like a poster of Trent Reznor in my bedroom and I was like trying to like copy it and I was like, oh, that's really good actually for just like winging it. And so then I just like I think from there I just started I kind of got into like the craft scene, like slowly like I got into sewing, and I went to Temple University in Philly for my undergrad, which was literature, not art, because I was 18 and thought I would get a job with a literature bachelor's, I guess. I don't know. But I also like really enjoyed art, and so I took a couple drawing classes, a couple painting classes. I took a sewing class. I took photography, and I was majoring in, like I said, literature, but with a focus on creative writing. So I was like actually like really doing a lot of poetry was kind of like my main thing I was doing. I was writing poetry, trying to like do experimental stuff like off the page, and so yeah, I've kind of been like all over. So that was like my pursuits in college. And then I started doing more sewing and I started making like clutch bags and handbags and doing applique. And I think the first time I sold my work, it was at First Friday in Philly, when I was like 19, and I just like threw a blanket on the sidewalk and like threw out a bunch, like just put out like a bunch of my little clutch bags and made like $200 or something, like 100, $200. And I was like, that's so cool, And there was like some other like young small artists around me, and like that we would do that sometimes. So yeah, I was doing the sewing. Then I started a company called KM Stitchery, which like started with the sewing, and then it became recycled T-shirts with hand-cut stencils of feminists printed on them.
Okay.
And I had that company for I don't even know, like 8 years maybe.
Yeah.
And I did get like some press, like I was like on, it's like mentioned on Bitch magazine and Feministing and some like big feminist outlets. So I did that, and then it's like always changing.
Yeah.
I was also like I also did knitting and crocheting and like sold stuff. So coming out of, I've really been all over the place. I'm just so coming out of the t-shirts, then I switched gears into performing arts,
Okay.
and I played music for like 6 years. I was in, when I lived in Minneapolis, I was in two different bands. But like I approach bands like a art project. Like to me, you don't just like, it's like, okay, music is like five white dudes in like street clothes, like up on stage. And I'm like, no. It's like I wanted it to be like at least equally women or mostly women. And like, I wanted to do like costuming. I wanted like there to be like themes, I kind of like just kind of delved into that.
Yeah.
And so like I was in two bands that I started. The first band was called The Great Confinement, and it was all about female insanity in Victorian literature. And then we like wore like bloomers and shit on stage. I played clarinet, and sang.
Oh, wow.
And then there was cello and drums too. And then and then like the cellist left, and she was the singer. She's like a powerhouse vocalist. So she left, and then me and the drummer were like, well, we still want to play music, so we started a new band called Fate's Palette. And all of our songs were about paintings, and we had a violinist and a bass player, and we I played like electric clarinet. Like I found the one company that makes a pickup for a clarinet,
Okay.
and like hooked up to like guitar pedals and shit, and like played like through a pog pedal and like reverb and and the violinist did too. So it was like really like pretty like I don't know, goth chamber rock.
Okay.
It's kind of like what we would say, because it's kind of not like there's like no genre for what we were doing, I guess.
Exactly.
So then like I quit that band so like in like 2014, and that's when I started getting into ceramics. So it took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
I was like having a really low period in my life, and I just like needed something, and I wanted to do a form of art that I didn't have to rely on other people. You know, it's like I can't like write this song because I need 3 people to like show up on time and do work, and you know, and I just wanted to like create and make it, and it's just me. So yeah, that's like when I got really involved in ceramics.
Okay. Did you just kind of like stumble upon ceramics, or
You know, I like in my head I was like, I always thought like pottery would be fun to try. I don't know, I just had that thought like, oh, like pottery, that's something I've always wanted to just like fool around with and just try. And so there was like a park near my house, and they had a community program. Like they had like a ceramic studio through their parks and recreation program, and it was actually pretty nice. So I started like taking a class there, and I'm gonna say like taking a class with air quotes, because it wasn't like a formal class. It was like you go in, you know, they kind of help you get started, and then if you have questions, you like ask them along the way. But there wasn't a lot of, you know, like formal instruction or whatever. But I could be like, hey, how do you make a jar with a lid? And like the teacher would show me, you know. So it was more just like up to you to like ask questions, and then like if they have time or whatever. So I started out like doing, like taking classes there. And then I just like went into it hard, was like really liking it. I was going all the time. I had 2 part-time jobs at 2 libraries, and I would like race home from work and like race over to the studio and spend like 6 hours like at night at the studio, because they had open studio hours and the classes. So you were allowed to go to any of the classes and to the open studio as well. So I would rush over there. I mean, I would just be there like 4 or 5 days a week, as much as I could. And I'm the type of person that learns by doing. So for me, like, I can't listen to a lecture. It's like worthless. I need to like I need to have like an assignment or do something. So just getting involved like in the clay and like figuring it out myself, and then like asking questions, you know. And I mean, I still feel like I maybe know like 35-40% about clay. Like it's just such a huge medium. There's just so much. Like I don't understand like how you make clay. Like I just buy the clay made. But I know there's people that like dig up clay and make their own, and I mean it's just it's a vast medium. So I think that's why I've like stuck with it so long, is because like I really enjoy it. there's not many limitations on it, and I don't have to rely on other people, and I can actually make money at it. So I've like I'm like committed to it now for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. So beyond just the clay itself, your imagery. What kind of, you mentioned Trent Reznor and sort of like
When I was 17.
yeah. And like the goth style in your music.
Yeah.
So like what kind of inspires the imagery that you use in your play work?
I'm really into like weird history. Like I love just like strange history. I like that podcast Lore that has some good like just weird but yeah, I just like I've always been into just like unusual things or oddities, you know, until like I like do the Plague Doctor on a lot of my pieces because it's just like creepy dark imagery, and I don't know, I'm just like drawn to that. And I'm also really drawn to history and historical illustrations. So my master's degree is in library science, and I worked with rare books for a while. So I worked at the University of Minnesota with the art librarian, and I helped manage the rare art book collection. So I would like go through and like just find like images that were inspiring, and they're public domain.
Yeah.
So then it's like it's awesome. Like it's like I like history anyway, and then like I can utilize these like old images and bring them back to life, or like remix them, or you know, interpret them in my own way. So yeah, like the Plague Doctor and like the gargoyle is like I was like looking at an old like etching of like a gargoyle from Notre Dame. But then sometimes like I just winged this, you know, and it's just like, you know, I like Poe, I like literature, history, and then this is like a popular series I do, like these like hand painted, like it's like a whole hand painted scene. And I guess I call them like story cups or like story gothic landscape pieces. And to me it's like stream of consciousness. I never like plan out what I'm doing. I just like start painting, and I have a few like repeating motifs, but I tend to just stream of consciousness just start going, and I think there's like a lot of symbolism in there, and for me it's like about depression and anxiety, like my mental health. And I think that comes out a lot in the story pieces especially.
Well, that was part 1. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Keep a lookout for part 2 in the coming weeks, and keep a lookout for our all-new site coming this fall. Also, new merchandise is going to drop. Thanks so much for watching.